there's throwing stuff against the wall, there's broken furniture, there's things like that, threats to do something. So it's almost always something that you can hook onto to bolster your case.
What should a person do if they're in an abusive situation and need a divorce? We're going to talk to attorney Jimmy Vaught about that on today's Ask the Lawyer. Jimmy, thanks for joining us.
Surely, I'm glad to join you.
So first of all, what is your experience as a family law attorney assisting people who have been in a domestic violence situation?
Well, we get that kind of comes in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Usually, when someone calls us and they haven't filed for divorce and they've been abused, there's several places that we can send them to, quite frankly, to either get out of the house, them and the kids, and also get some therapy while things are going on. It's not unusual for us to refer them to the county attorney's office too. But normally, until somebody files for divorce, there's not much the court system can do to help them out.
What should a spouse consider if he or she has been a victim of family violence?
Well, normally, and I tell people all the time, you need to make sure that you're safe. I'm just going to generalize for the wife. You're safe and the kids are safe. And that means going to a relative's house, and usually calling the police, quite frankly, and also going to some place like here in Austin, like Safe Place or something like that, that's a shelter for domestic abuse victims. That's probably the best advice I can give them. And so, to me, usually I want the abused spouse to leave the house, because usually what happens, I'm going to generalize again, that let's say the husband, by God, they're not going to move out of the house. It's their house, blah blah, whatever, that kind of baloney. And so leaving the house, quite frankly, is the safest thing for a mom and kids to do, at least until the court system can kind of get involved. Because even if you get the abuser kicked out of the house, chances are he will keep coming back to the house, and so which is not good for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, these cases can really be contentious. They can be really dangerous. What about in cases of he said, she said, where there isn't a lot of physical evidence? Is it still possible to get a protective order in those types of situations?
Those are a little trickier, quite frankly. But it's like every other kind of case. The judge, if there's a hearing, they gauge the credibility of each witness. And it's possible to get a protective order when it's kind of a he said, she said situation. There's almost always something else that we can latch onto. Let's say even if let's say, I'm going to generalize. Let's say the husband. Let's say even if the husband didn't lay hands on her or physically injure the wife, a lot of times there's throwing stuff against the wall. There's broken furniture. There's things like that, threats to do something. So it's almost always something that you can hook onto to bolster your case.
What about, should somebody always have a lawyer when they're trying to get a protective order? Can you get a protective order without a lawyer? And is that a good idea?
Well, let's say, for example, someone can go to the county attorney's office and perhaps get an emergency protective order, which is good for like 14 days. And so something like that. But, I always feel like, the county attorney's office, although they do a good job, they've got maybe hundreds and hundreds of people that they're trying to help. Whereas if you have a lawyer, that lawyer and their staff are going to really focus on them, on that individual, and helping them get a protective order.
What about in cases of children? Can children be protected from an abusive parent? And how would this fit into a child custody determination?
Well, that's kind of two-part question. Actually, a child can be included within a protective order, so along with the abused spouse, and so that's one way that children can be protected. And then let's say if it's in a a custody determination and there's been allegations of physical violence uh, directed at the kids, for example, normally what I've done is that the abuser gets is limited to supervised visitation, if no visitation. Occasionally, it'll be no visitation for a period of time, then limited supervised visitation for a period of time until things we can either get therapy, counseling, or some way to sort of segue into more visitation for the abuser. But sometimes it may never. I mean, they just may never, you know, return to something where they can actually have a normal parent-child relationship.
Obviously, a sad outcome. If the abused spouse does wish to proceed with a divorce, how does that work in cases if they also want to get a protective order? Can those two cases be done at the same time, or how does that kind of unfold legally?
The way I normally do it is there's no reason why you can't proceed with both of them together because it's always my thought is because the protective order, the allegations of family violence or the findings of family violence are going to play into to the divorce, quite frankly, and what a judge decides in the divorce.
Certainly a tough topic today, but we appreciate your time and all of the valuable information. Thanks for joining us.
Sure thing. Thank you.
And that's going to do it for this episode of Ask the Lawyer. My guest has been Jimmy Vaught. If you want to ask him about your situation, call the number on your screen. Thanks for watching. I'm Molly Hendrickson for Ask the Lawyers.